Hey everyone, this is your body code practitioner out here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Just wanted to do another video on how to kill a narcissist. I've been reading this book, been kind of dissecting it, analyzing it, and it's been really refreshing to see someone kind of be very blunt about kind of the experience of dealing with a narcissist. For many clients, I've received a lot of feedback, a lot of messages about how you personally, have been dealing with, at some point in your life, a narcissist. Sometimes while I was reading it, you want to also question yourself. You see, this is kind of like, people don't want to really hear this, but you want to also ask, like, do I have narcissistic tendencies? Or is there something in my character that maybe out of the 5 out of 10 things or 20 out of the 30 things, whatever, just some type of percentage of you're like, that's a sign of one, and I think everyone has maybe an element of it. Now there's some people that fully fall under all categories and then it's very blatant, but we also want to make sure that we don't have any tendencies due to the fact that we were either raised by one or we were with one. We could have absorbed their patterns, absorbed their energies, different things. Today I'm going to talk about the word shame. So shame is the main theme of this. And it's the method, it's the emotion used by narcissists to control someone and to manipulate them using emotions due to their fact of their emotionless situation, their emotionless mindset. It's very interesting that one of the things that I was reading in here, which was very, very interesting, and I'm going to try to find it for you guys. Okay. So here we go. One of the things we want to talk about is the shame-grandiosity continuum. So there's this kind of like a sort of a bar of like where you want to currently be in, and there's three areas. There's shame. There's shame. There's healthy shame, and there's grandiose. Now, grandiose is kind of where the narcissist lives. I am a god. I have infinite ability and power. I am better than everyone. People exist to serve me. So it's kind of like they replace God. If you're into biblical things, I would say it's probably Lucifer was the first narcissist, and he wanted to take all the glory from his father. And that's why, and he was an angel. He was doing very, very well. I mean, they say there's a very high percentage of CEOs that are narcissists. Well, yeah, Satan was one of the higher realm angels, like almost like an archangel, doing very, very well. And we know he was doing well because in the book of Revelations, it talks about how when Satan fell, that heaven mourned. See, heaven wouldn't mourn for someone who wasn't up to something or wasn't looked up to at some point. They mourned because, wow, that was someone that was very high up there and went a little too much on the grandiose scale, and he edged God out. Like ego stands for edging God out. He edged God. He tried to edge God out. And anyway, so that's the grandiose. There's the healthy shame. I am a human being. I am capable and influential with limits. I am as worthy as the next person. We all exist to support each other. That's kind of the healthy shame, you see? That's what we call mortal gods. We understand that there's some godliness about us, but we also try to, we have to also convince ourselves and also to learn, probably the hard way, that we're mortals. There's certain limitations to us, and it kind of keeps us in a humble state. But then there's the shameful. So it's below the grandiose, below the healthy shame, there's the shameful. This is like a very, in Hawking's, it talks about how shame is the lowest frequency you can have. And it can be contributed to that. You could be in that low frequency realm due to the fact that you probably were in a narcissistic relationship or you were raised by one. But the shameful is, I am less than human. I am inferior and incapable. I am not special. I exist to serve others. Now, because there's he was saying that there's sort of like a balance of scales in the world. There's a balance of scales. Grandiose tends to tip the scale so that healthy shame and shameful People are it's trying to push you to healthy shame and push you even further to shameful. That's what the grandiose tries to do. So it says here, the more grandiosity a person exhibits, the more shame other people are forced to experience to compensate for that. So it's like this balancing scale thing, you see? And when grandiosity gets out of hand, it forces other people to be too far left on the continuum, which is back to the shameful you go. And so, you probably were dealing with someone who has edged God out if you've ever dealt with a narcissist. And here's the interesting thing is that it talks about how after you sort of get pushed down the scale, feeling shameful, feeling and then being a shameful person is very, very different. So feeling sad or constantly sad, or being angry, or are you residually angry? And what's interesting is that the sad thing about these scales is that if you stay on any part of these parts, or grandiose, a healthy shame, or shameful, you actually start identifying as that type of person. For example, you start beginning to accept your low status. It says here, we'll be left to contend with our feeling of shame, and we'll shrink ourselves so that the balance is achieved in the continuum. Don't rock the boat. Don't make any attempts to improve, because we're back in the shameful state. Also, you might attempt to meet the higher standard. And it's interesting that these are when we start moving down the shame scale, these are the ways that we can react to it, okay? Some of you guys have been in a narcissistic relationship, but you're super successful. How'd you do it? Or some of you guys are narcissistic situation, and then you kind of looked at the part of the narcissist that's like, hey, he's very excelling in this area here. I'm going to excel in my business the same way he does, and so it's kind of like how we react is very important. Attempt to meet the higher standard. For example, shame acts as an agent for growth and improvement. For example, think of the men and women in the gym or at the salon, spurred only by the shameless beauty and health industry, which sets a benchmark of a perfect physical appearance. So that could also kind of keep you in a state where you're just like, these people look better than me, they'll always be better than me, I'm down here. Sometimes you can identify, or you can merge with like I said, you can merge. For example, if you look up to a celebrity, they can provide some shame for you because you're like, oh, I'm not as good as them. But then you might put posters of them, and then you start excelling. You actually take action. Also, you can disidentify. This is where you don't identify with those people at all. It doesn't concern you at all. And attack means you start attacking these people because you feel ashamed. You start attacking them. That's what you'll see on YouTube. If people are jealous of your actions and what you do, they'll attack you. So shame is the reason we are strongly affected by celebrities and other high-status social figures. They literally tower over us on billboards and movie screens. And so so basically, I think what's very, very important is shame has a dark side. And here's what I want to talk about. When shame becomes toxic, and we'll end here. And this is something that was very interesting. It says here, you will unwittingly dive into your dark, isolated psychological purgatory, believing that you need to take inventory and improve. You will sink below the level of humanity and begin to feel less than human. You will feel inferior. If they shame you enough and reinforce it continuously in the relationship, you will stay there. It'll become part of this is what we're all worried about, core identity. The result is toxic shame. You will cut yourself down to fit. You will lower your gaze, talk more quietly, express yourself less, and doubt yourself more. You will become more cooperative and appeasing. Your respective places on opposite ends of the continuum will become solidified. Unfair balance of power will be achieved. So we're talking about solidification, changing your core identity. If you do something long enough, and I always just say this to people all the time, if you're trying to make people laugh all the time, there will come a point almost like where you cross over, where kind of like every fiber of your bone is just funny, and now it just naturally oozes out of you. I used to tell people that it's like, if you play music, you're trying to become a good musician, there will come a point, it won't be overnight, but there will come a point where music just kind of comes out of you. You just start you become almost like a wire of music. But unfortunately, that's the same way with the person who's shamed by the narcissist, is that once you get shame will start oozing out of you. It'll become like part of you. You think it's actually you. You forget who you really were before. And so with energy healing, one of the things that it talks about here is that these people don't give a about, making life better, improving the beautiful ways of this earth, and let's care about other people's emotions. It's like all this beautiful things you can add to the value to the earth. Here in this book, it talks about how they just don't give a about that. They just don't. And one of the reasons why is because they just don't feel shame. And so if you're dealing with somebody who is not feeling shame, we've got a problem. And so I just want to let you know that it's very important that if you're in this situation right now, it says here to kind of like, for the first thing is acknowledgement, to know that you're dealing with a narcissist. And then, when I talked to, I talked to my girlfriend and I asked her, I said, when you dealt with a narcissist, I was going to ask you, did you know about the word narcissism and did you know about the word empath? Here's what's interesting. She says, I didn't know those words. I didn't study those words until later. So part of it is waking up to the idea of these terminologies, because then you see where you fit in the picture. That's number one. It's kind of like awakening yourself from the sleep. Number two, it's really important to work on yourself. That's why I do energy healing, is to improve yourself so that you can take action to what you need to do. When reading a lot of these books, they're great thoughts, but what if you have fear deep down inside? You're like, I don't know how to move from this, or I don't have the courage to speak up, or I don't have this. Just find a statement and make it like, I am very clear about whether I want to stay in this relationship or not, or I have confidence to speak to this person about how I really feel, or I am not ashamed anymore, or any type of statement. Just check the percentage on it, so that way you can kind of use your own legs to move forward what you need to do with this person. And so that's my suggestion is, again, the shame continuum scale, the shame-grandiosity continuum scale. Where are you at? Are you overly egotistical about it? You may have symptoms of a narcissist, or are you in the middle where you're like, I understand that I have a beautiful thing inside of me, I am God created, but I have limitations. I would like to bring more peace to this world. I would like kind of a healthy shame. Then there's the shameful, I'm below people, I don't deserve this, this is my lot, and that's a very unhealthy way. And if you're like that right now because of how someone treats you, beware. You're about to become, your core is about to be identified as that, and you don't deserve that. That's not where you belong. So hopefully this gave you some insights about, kind of where do you belong in the continuum scale? The shameful, healthy shame, or grandiose. Find out where you are. Create affirmations and see how much your body believes in it in regards to like making the next move to move yourself higher in the scale where you have a healthy shame. It's good to believe there's a higher power. It's good to believe that you have amazing potential within you and that you want to have, bring goodness to this earth. That's a good, healthy shame. I'm not perfect. I'm not a god. I'm mortal. I know I have godliness inside of me, but I'm still immortal. That's where we want to be. And so with that, hopefully you appreciate this message, and feel free to comment below, what insights you got from this, and hopefully click the subscribe button too. Make sure you click on that little bell, make sure that way you get notified about this, and subscribe below. I'm going to keep going through this book and giving you guys some more insights. So with that, take care guys, and we'll talk soon.